Hi, welcome to Glow's Country Kitchen, and I'm Glow. Well, today I wanted to share a recipe with you that's real special to us. It comes from an inn up in Black Mountain, which isn't too far from here, probably about 40 minutes, and it's called the Red Rocker Inn. And the reason that that is important to our family is my great-grandmother used to summer at that place. When she lived in Florida, she would come up here in the summer and summer there. But back then, it was not called that. It was called Doherty Heights Inn. And prior to that, when the home was built, it was built in, I believe, 1897, and they called it Mountain View. And then when they decided to convert it to a boarding home, they called it Doherty Heights. And that's when my grandmother stayed there. And then they changed the name again to the Red Rocker Inn in the 1970s. And it's had, I think, 4 or 5 owners. But this apple cake recipe is just delicious. And I wanted to share this with you. And actually, the banana nut bread that I showed you in the last video, that particular recipe I adapted from this cookbook. So I did give it credit in the bottom, but I just wanted to share that with you. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we need to do is cut an apple. I went ahead and cut 2 apples. This calls for 3 cups of apples, and not the sweet apples. So these are Granny Smiths. And I just thought I'd show you how I cut them, just in case someone hasn't cut an apple before. You can use an apple corer if you want. There's also those apple cutters that you put on a spindle thing and go like this, and it peels it and cores it at the same time. But I don't have one of those. And this seems to work good for me. So I cut it in half, and now I'm just cutting it in wedges. And then I just cut out a little bit of the core that's there. And then I start peeling. And I use a serrated knife here. That works best for me. But you use what works best for you. But I find by doing it this way, I don't waste as much apple. And I went ahead and cut up 2 here, and I put a little lid on it just to keep the apples from browning, because apples will brown very quickly. See, and there's a little bit of that core there. And then I just start peeling. It goes quickly. There we go. A little bit of peel there. And there was no core on that one. So then you just, here's my bowl, and see how they are already starting to brown there a little?
Yes.
And so this is all you do. This one I'm going to cut in half here, lengthwise. It's a little bigger than I wanted it to be. There it is. It jumped right out of my hand there. So I'll go ahead and continue to cut this, and I'll be back, and then I'll show you the next step. Hi, well, I got that last apple completely cut up, and here it is in the bowl. So I'm going to go ahead and cover it up so it doesn't brown on us, and I'm going to move that out of the way. And now our next step is our sugar and our oil and our egg. I have 2 cups of sugar here in this bowl. And I just went ahead and measured it out. Then it calls for 3/4 of a cup of oil. I'm using canola oil. And it calls for 2 eggs. So I always crack my eggs in a separate bowl. And then that way, if I get a shell in it or something like that, or if the egg doesn't look right, I'm not wasting everything. So that egg looks great. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Let's do the last one. And if your eggs aren't at room temperature, you can go ahead and take your eggs out of your refrigerator and put them in a bowl of warm water for about 5 minutes, and it'll come up to room temperature. That's just a little trick. So there, that egg looked fine too.
Looks good, Miss Carl.
Yep. So I'm going to move this stuff out of the way so we have more room. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stir this up. And I'm using a Dutch or a Danish whisk, if you will. It looks like that. This works great for blending stuff like this. Comes together very quickly. I'll use it for lots of stuff. There we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to stir in our flour and our cinnamon. Here I have 2½ cups of self-rising flour and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm just going to stir this together. Now I'm one that does not keep self-rising flour on hand. I make my own, and I do have a video on how to do that, and I did that before we came on. And we'll put a link at the bottom of this video to show you how to do that if you're someone like myself that doesn't keep that on hand. There, that's blended well enough. So we're just going to stir in this flour and cinnamon into here, right into the sugar and eggs and oil. And I do a little at a time. Just find it works better for me. Oops, I made a mess there. A little bit more in. So I'm going to go ahead and continue putting this flour in and with the cinnamon, and I'll be back after I get this all incorporated, and we'll go on to the next step. Hi, well, I got all that flour incorporated in there. Now, in the recipe, in this book, it does say that the batter will be thick. Well, they weren't kidding. Look how thick that is.
Pretty thick, Miss Carl.
Yeah, but when you put all this apple in here, it's going to be giving off, its juices. I can see why it's thick to start with. And I also toasted on my stove some walnuts. I cut them up and then toasted them on the stove for like about 3 minutes, actually, is all it took. Because when you preheat your frying pan to do that in, it goes really fast. So now I'm just going to stir this all together. So let me get that incorporated, and then I'll show you the next step. This goes together really quick. Hi, well, I've got everything mixed up here. And you definitely need a little bit of elbow grease to mix all that together. But as you're getting it all combined, the dough is already, not quite as thick as it was. So as this is cooking, it will even become more so. So I went ahead and I greased my pan. I did like a spray pan, the Aldi one, the butter one. And I'm going to go ahead and just put this in the bottom of the pan. I have my oven preheating to 350 degrees. And I'm using a baking pan that actually has a lid for it that slides on, and that way it will keep really well for us. Although if you had a few people here for breakfast or for coffee time or something, this would not last long at all. not one that likes to waste, so I'm going to get every little bit out of this I can. I'll save a little bit here for Richard to sample, but
Thanks a lot, Miss Cole.
you're welcome. He always likes to, you know, make sure the...
Clean out the bowl.
There you go. There. So I'm just going to spread it out in this pan. Yeah, this is working better. But it's definitely thick. But you'll see why in the end. Some of that apple over there. There's quite a bit of apple in that one section. I'll put some of the dough over there to go with that. Smells good. There we go.
Smells thick.
I don't know if you can really smell thick, but those toasted nuts and that cinnamon with that apple already, it's delicious. And I'm not sure if I mentioned, but these were Granny Smith apples.
No, you didn't mention that.
Okay. And then you just sprinkle, these are butterscotch chips. You just sprinkle this over the top. This is 3/4 of a cup. And I don't know if you noticed, but I didn't put any salt in this. Reason being, self-rising flour has salt. Just in case someone was wondering. There. So I'm going to put this in our oven at 350 degrees, and it takes between 35 and 40 minutes to cook. So I'll see you back then. Well, I just took this cake out of the oven. And I gotta tell you guys,
looks good,
this
smells good.
smells so good. And the hard part is we're gonna have to wait till this totally cools before we can cut it. So we'll be smelling this for a bit. But I'll be back and we'll sample it, and I can't wait. We'll see you in a while. Hi, well, our apple walnut coffee cake is done and it's cooled. And I gotta tell you, it smells delicious. So I'm gonna take a bite. Mmm. Mmm. Guys, this is delicious. The apple with it and those walnuts being toasted and that butterscotch on top is just delicious. I can see why the Red Rocker Inn says that this is one of their the patrons' favorite coffee cakes there. They're always asking for the recipe. It is so good. Has a nice crunch to it from the topping. Mmm. Very pleasing. And that just enough cinnamon. It's not overpowering. You gotta try this. Let me know what you think, but this is delicious. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, if you could give me a like and thumbs up, comment, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do. We'll talk to you later. Bye. Well, now it's time for our taste test. And I need to share with you guys, last night I tasted it and it was very good. But then I recalled the last time I made it, or the only other time I made it, was about a year ago. No, not even a year ago. But anyway, it tasted much better the next day. You know how sometimes cakes, you make it a day ahead at least for all the seasonings to get in? So I'm going to do a taste test today. Look at that. softer today. Just allowing it to set overnight. The seasonings get into it, the apple releases more of its moisture. It's delicious. Have a piece of that apple and a little bit of the butterscotch on top. This is a great way to start your day. I definitely am going to put a note in my cookbook about that it's better, you know, the next day. You could serve it the same day, but next day is by far better. And those nuts. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you have, please like and subscribe to our channel. Give me a thumbs up and a comment. I hope you have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.